like gold and I like the face. That's what I was. I like that, and I just feel like very timeless to me, you know? Like, I feel like it's not so much. I was trying to think of things that I will like in 40 years, and like, it's actually what I want. So, yeah, but I like that concept too. And I don't know, a lot of people even have the big, huge solitaire, like square ones, and I just was like, I don't know, I wanted something that felt like me, and was me. So that was part of it. We were just talking about that. I definitely would like it to be next year. I would like it to be next year, but it is just so wildly expensive. So we're really trying to figure out what we really want, how it's going to feel like a celebration for us, of us. So we're kind of right now thinking of like a small entrance post and then doing like 20 bucks for us and like as like a reception, getting like a private chef in all night, everybody dressing up and just like having it really for us. And then it's like the bachelorette party, so our friends can spend. So I told Ivy and I really got our partying days out of our system in college. So it would be called Girls Gone Wild. So yeah, that's it would probably be like do the ceremony like next spring and then do a reception like next as the reception is all of our friends.
Hey, Lacrosse fans, welcome here to Tucson, Arizona. We're at the University of Arizona Rec Center. Chris Ross here with South Mountain Sports, joined by Craig Stevens this morning. Craig, thanks for joining.
My pleasure, Chris. Glad to be here on an absolutely gorgeous morning here in Tucson.
So, of course, we've got the big rivalry here, Arizona State coming down in the final regular season game, playing the Wildcats. Arizona coming in 3-0 in the conference. Wildcats had a little bit rougher season, 2-6 overall, and 1-2 in the conference.
Absolutely. And one of the things that both coaches talked about is that's helped in their records is the depth of the team. Is the ASU team has a substantial advantage in terms of the depth of their players, which especially in this area, definitely helps. Is the first half tends to be very strong for the U of A, where they've had some issues in the second half. And again, it's really just because of depth and their players getting a little bit tired. And that is a strength of the ASU team. So we'll see how that continues to play out today. As you know darn well, playing at home in a rivalry game with ASU, U of A, it doesn't matter if they were playing tiddlywinks. Is those your enthusiasm just raises, and you never know what can be able to happen in a rivalry game because energy comes from places you have no idea.
Yeah, absolutely. Seems to bring something out of the players, right? Even if you didn't see it earlier in the season. And I know U of A is always looking forward to hosting this game. And, you can see it on the roster size, right? I mean, this ASU roster is almost, I think, twice the number of players. So that'll certainly be a factor probably here in the second half, just having all those available extra substitutions to come into the game as legs start to get tired.
No, absolutely. Especially when you take a look at, total goals scored as an example, is the U of A has scored 139 goals this season, and ASU has 223. So right off the bat, that just shows the overall depth, and again, it just relates to those second half issues. But once again, is in a game such as this, especially when it's your last home game in a rivalry game, anything can be able to happen in a game like this.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I mean, Arizona State, right, usually is often the winner of this conference, right, this WWLL South, and they've been in the championship game several times in recent years. They weren't able to make it to that championship game last year. They were actually upset by UCLA. But, you know, they've got those championships coming up again here next weekend up at Grand Canyon University, and certainly expecting to see ASU in the mix again this season.
No, one of the things that the U of A coach and I were recently talking about, the U of A coach being Liz Palmer, is this game and this season is a great launching point for the U of A. As they have come back recently and brought their lacrosse program back into the foray. And one of the things they definitely would love to be able to do as quickly as they can is not just be able to play club lacrosse, but they'd love to be able to take it to the level so they could be able to join the Big 12 with ASU and the other Big 12 teams playing lacrosse, because it would greatly help lacrosse throughout the Southwest to be able to have both ASU and U of A having D1 teams, which will help across the board, not just the club teams, but women's lacrosse down to the high school levels and across all levels.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I think just when that ASU D1 team came here not too many years back, just the excitement that generated, especially for the local lacrosse community, and having the local players at the youth level and high school level just have those teams to look up to be able to go and actually watch the games in person. I know, we've caught several of the D1 games this season, and every time I go, I actually see entire local teams usually going as kind of a team building event. So you see, it makes a huge impact. So to be able to do that here at U of A as well, I'm sure would have a similar effect and just help grow the sport overall.
Absolutely. And you and I were doing games earlier this year at ASU at a tournament which had a variety of teams from across the country. There were teams from University of Pittsburgh. There were teams from
Boston College,
yeah. Georgia. So well-known teams, many of which have D1 programs as well as the club programs, and the number of people that attended those events and the impact that it had across the valley was pretty substantial.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's exciting, even though it's club level, just seeing some of the upsets that happened, right? I mean, Brigham Young was bringing down Boston College there, and that was certainly surprising to a lot of people. But looks like this first draw is up, so let's get focused on the game at hand here.
And it's interesting that ASU won the first draws. That's one of the things the coaches said right off the bat, is they put an additional emphasis on winning the draws.
Early save there. Looks like Ava Ventimiglia in the cage here for U of A, making a great save.
Absolutely, U of A is just taking it right down the middle of the field. Quickly working in front of the goal. One of the things, Chris, they definitely talked about.
Just a second there, Craig. I just want to comment here on
sure.
Steph Lundeen making a great play there, keeping that ball in play for U of A. Would have been a turnover to ASU, and so president of this U of A team already making an impact early in this game. I think we had just had a cone on the field there, maybe a safety concern from the officials, Craig, having them take that off the field and resume play here, just ensuring safety for the players.
Absolutely. They had a conversation with the officials. The team actually the field, appears that it's in really good shape. Both coaches before the game were very positive about that. But obviously the officials need to be ensure safety of players, and there's a goal by the University of Arizona.
What a play from Steph Lundeen, the senior, playing her final regular season game here. Might actually be her final game. I don't know if U of A is going to end up in the competition here next week for the championship. So great play by her. And, again, just a little bit of history. When this club was almost eliminated here at U of A, she really stepped in and was just instrumental in keeping this team alive for the last 4 years. So great to see her making a play and getting on the board first here for U of A.
So U of A takes a quick 1-0 lead, roughly about a minute and a half into the game. One of the things, Chris, the ASU coaching staff talked about is trying to be able to take advantage of quick opportunities, especially off of an initial draw. And if they don't have those quick opportunities,
yeah, and I think just as you're saying that, Craig, got a shot here. Number 20, so Claire Mertzliff, the sophomore attacker from Wilmette, Illinois, getting on the board here for Arizona State, tying it up 1-1.
Way to go, Claire!
absolutely. Which ties in very closely to exactly what the coach was saying, is they were looking for kind of what she called fast break opportunities. But if they don't, to be able to pull it back, and then it's not the quality of shot she was talking about, or the quantity, excuse me, but the quality of the shot. And that's really what happened there, is they quickly were able to take advantage of an opportunity and got a great shot and put it in the back of the net. So within 30 seconds, they made up the differential and tied the score at 1.
Yeah, it's great placement for sure, and I think the fast break, of this ASU team has certainly been one of their strengths in recent years. Just some high power players with Brianna Gardner, Kelsey Penta, Sienna Duffel. So Penta had a good knockdown play there, Craig, but looks like ASU is offside, so ball gets turned over to U of A.
Referees are just communicating among themselves just to verify the call. ASU was offsides, ball's going to U of A. And I apologize, fans, for not being able to call the most recent ASU goal that quickly, as I changed my vantage point a little bit because I was blocked a little bit from being able to see the goal. So now I have a much cleaner view of the field and hopefully be able to describe it to you in much more detail. But ASU now has the ball at midfield. Kelsey Penta just takes it right down the middle for a goal for the Sun Devils. That'll be her 20th goal this year, and that's actually third on the Sun Devils. And it's interesting, Chris, is the Sun Devils actually do have 3 different players that almost have double the amount of goals that the leading scorers at the U of A has. Ties into what we were talking about earlier with the total number of goals for the two teams combined. And that gives ASU a 2-1 lead with 11:49 left to play here in the first quarter.
Yeah, and I think again, just Kelsey Penta, I'm sure that won't be her last goal of the day. Claire Mertzliff already on the board as well, but Lesha Karaba, number 32, and Sienna Duffel, 77, the 2 top scorers here for ASU. I'm looking for them to also be making an impact early in the game.
It's worth noting, Chris, that this is off the fourth draw now. The ASU coach specifically said they had an emphasis on winning the draws, and ASU so far has won every draw in the game. I just put another one in the back of the net. That's the fast break opportunities that we were talking about.
Yeah, and that one's off the stick of Bella Bozo, local Phoenix attacker here.
So within just a few seconds, ASU has increased their lead 3-1. Now with 11:27 left here in the first quarter. Once again, ASU wins the draw. Taryn Gleesh taking it right down the middle. Passing off. Yeah.
Looks like another one for Kelsey.
Looks like another one, absolutely.
Nice shot, Kel!
Looks like another goal for Kelsey Pinta. Taking her up to her 21st goal of the season. And very quickly, ASU has turned that 1-0 deficit into a 4-1 advantage.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see here if the U of A defense can respond. Just 4 minutes in, 4 goals for ASU. And in danger of quickly running away with this one.
Well, again, one of the things the ASU coaching staff specifically said was that they really wanted to be able to take advantage of all the fast break opportunities that they had available to them. But if they didn't, they'd pull the ball out and have more ball control. But so far, they really haven't had to pull the ball out. They were just working on the fast breaks. U of A finally wins their first draw. Takes it down to their end of the field. Looks like Sophie Churchill has it out front, and they're working around their perimeter. And a wonderful shot and a goal by Arizona by number 4, Mia Fusco, a junior attacker. That's her 12th goal of the season, and it ties her for the lead for the Arizona Wildcats with her 12th goal of the season. And that cuts the ASU lead from down to 4-2.
Yeah, definitely expecting a lot from Mia Fusco here. And the last win for this U of A team was against UC San Diego back in mid-February, and she was definitely leading the charge there.
Well, if we keep up this pace, Chris, it looks like we're going to have a 30-20 final score.
You know, that could be. I think, you know, another interesting factor in the game here today, Craig, is just that ASU team here actually hasn't played in over a month. This is their first game, I believe, since March 1st when they played Utah Valley. Close-fought match. Utah Valley getting the win there. But this ASU team hasn't been on the field in competition here for 4 weeks. A great knockdown by U of A, picking it up, but recovered by ASU. Smart play by Blaina Bear there, getting the GB and making sure that they wouldn't be offsides before she stepped over that restraining line.
Absolutely. And Chris, for our fans that aren't necessarily aware, what are really the offsides differences in lacrosse versus, say, soccer as an example? Well, we'll talk about that after, as once again another goal has taken place.
Yeah, and that one coming from Caroline Kelly, president here for Arizona State, number 2, the midfielder from Holliesville, Pennsylvania. Looks like we'll have a timeout on the field.
There's 9:23 left to play here in the first quarter, and it's Arizona State 5, Arizona 2. And once again, it's an absolutely gorgeous day here in Tucson. One of the things which will be interesting, we were talking about this with some of the referees before the game, is there's actually a number of fighter jets, Chris, that have been flying over the top of the stadium today. And every once in a while, we'll be seeing the fans look up and having some rather significant noises from the jets going overhead, which brings back an old memory of mine. Is when my kids were playing soccer years ago, is all of a sudden there was a young Bichon Frise poodle that was being walked behind the goal. The game suddenly just stopped as every player on both teams and all the fans went running up to go see the dog. And we were kind of told by the referees today is that, well, if all of a sudden people are looking up at the sky and watching the fighter jets, that, well, the game may stop for a moment or two.
Yeah, no, definitely. And that's always a mainstay here in Tucson. You do get the fighter jets coming over pretty regularly, and definitely keeps things interesting. Occasionally, it can be a little disruptive to the games, but yeah, I think in general the fans tend to enjoy it. I think to your question earlier, Craig, with the offsides, these teams, if they're not down on a card and they've got full sets in on both sides, then they're allowed to have 7 players over the line, not counting the goalie, of course, on either side of the restraining line. And then if they have more than that, right, they can end up in an offside situation. Sometimes you'll have a scenario where maybe a defender's coming down with the ball, and you'll hear the teams yelling "midi back," and they want the one of the midfielders to stay behind the restraining line so that they can bring the full set over. And usually they'll switch back as quick as they can because obviously, if you're playing a defense or attack, you've got a particular set of skills. And while most of these players can really play all sides of the ball, players have different strengths, and some are stronger on one side than the other. So they'll usually try to keep the attack set in, or the same thing on the defensive side. But yeah, you'll definitely see, especially there's a green card rule this year. So there's any physical foul that happens in the midfield, you'll see the green cards, players going out for a 1-minute penalty, which is a new rule this season. And that's definitely been catching a lot of teams. If they forget they got that player out and they end up putting too many players over, they'll get called for the offsides, which is an automatic change of possession. One other interesting note is sometimes fans will get upset when there's offsides and the officials don't call it, but they don't want to disadvantage the offense. So if the offense is driving and looks like they might have a shot, even if the defense is offsides, they might not call that right away. If it looks like the offense is going to drive and have a shot on goal, they might hold that whistle until it becomes a disadvantage for the team with possession.
So in a fast break opportunity, as an example.
Right, yeah. So sometimes the refs will see the offsides, but they intentionally won't call it if they think it would actually disadvantage the team with the ball.
Absolutely. It's interesting to talk about those kinds of things, because one of the things that we often do during the game is we relay some of the things that are happening within the lacrosse game to other sports. And it's not just because the terminology sometimes are the same, but the application is different. But oftentimes things are exactly the same. The coaches today talked about man-to-man defense as an example. A man-to-man defense basically has the same concepts in lacrosse as you would see in basketball as an example, or when you're matching up in soccer. So we often try to be able to do that to be able to help fans gain a little better understanding of the game, and it tends to make the game a little bit more fun to watch and enjoyable.
Yeah, looks like off the foul, Brianna Gardner going to get the free position restart up at the 12. A good skip pass up to Taryn Gleish.
So far it would seem as though ASU is getting a large number of those 50-50 balls, and that's again one of the other areas of emphasis that ASU has been placed today is how you can be able to maintain advantage or gain an advantage on those 50-50 opportunities.
Well, I think you have to give credit here to Arizona. I think this is the best defensive stand we've seen so far this game against this high-power ASU attack. Again, deflected high and backed up by U of A. So great defensive stand from Arizona here, making the stop with Ventimiglia on the quick clear out.
Arizona now trying a quick run out. Number 27, Hayden Kelly, passing it up to number 3, Jordan Hendricks, who puts it in the back of the net.
Yeah, great
Another goal for Arizona. Is for Jordan, that's her 8th goal of the year. And it cuts the Arizona State lead to 5-3.
Yeah, and I think this is the type of effort that Arizona's going to have to keep up this entire game. And, I think if they can keep this game within reach, they're not going to be able to stop ASU from scoring. I think they've just got too many weapons. But if they can keep pace with them, keep it within 2 or 3 goals going into the fourth quarter here, it can absolutely be a winnable game for Arizona.
One of the things the Arizona coach was saying before the game was what she really wanted to be able to do was look at as many positives as possible. And keeping the game close would be a wonderful thing because her primary objective was really just moving the program forward. They're just bringing the program back into play recently, and they just want to be able to keep moving things forward as best they possibly can. And keeping the game close or even coming out with a victory against their arch rival Arizona State would be a huge way of making that happen.
And a great takeaway there from Arizona. I think that was Emma Turpin, the sophomore, getting the cause turnover for Arizona, and they've got the look
really
here.
Nice pass right in front. Goal scored. I believe that was number 1, Sophie Churchill.
Yeah, she comes in here. I think it's Fusco behind the cage. Sees her wide open. Great execution.
As I know, number 44, Emma Russell, is starting in goal today. He's a freshman for Arizona State. And one of the things that they really wanted us to be able to take a look at today, and probably we'll get into the game a little bit later, is they do have some goalies on the bench that are seniors and were playing their last regular season game against the University of Arizona today. And I fully expect them to see some time before the game today, as they really wanted us to be able to take a look and talk about their seniors playing their last conference game today. And Arizona State calls a timeout with 6 minutes left to play here in the first quarter, as the Arizona State lead has been cut from a 3-goal lead down to 5-4.
Yeah, I mean, definitely an exciting game, I think from a fan's perspective, right? We love to see competitive games. So it's great to see Arizona coming out here and really putting on early in this game. I think one of the best performances I've seen from them this season. And, to your point, we celebrated both of these teams' senior days and senior nights respectively, in the recent last couple of games that we covered. And definitely for these teams, it gets tough towards the end here. They want to celebrate those seniors for the regular season game. And again, I'm not sure if Arizona is going to be in this WWLL championship weekend or not. I don't know exactly what the selection criteria is. I certainly expect ASU to be there, and I think GCU will be in the mix. But for U of A, this could very well be the final game for the seniors here.
Absolutely. And when you take your last game as a senior, a rivalry game is nothing gets your enthusiasm up more. And one of the things which I think comes with that enthusiasm is something I'm sure that the ASU coach is concerned about, because one of the things she had discussed was they really wanted to play strong one-on-one defense. That was something that was strongly emphasized before today's game. And so far, it would seem as though the one-on-one defense really has not been there as strongly as you would expect from Arizona State. Is there's been some very quick fast break opportunities, like in the very last goal, is they were not checked until the ball basically was right in front of the goal, and then it was an easy pass to an open player. So that's not the type of one-on-one defense that I'm sure the coach would be expecting from Arizona State.
Yeah, I mean, I think in fairness, right, ASU often they're strong in the draw, they're strong in attack, and their defense isn't necessarily tested quite as often. And again, this is their first game in 4 weeks, so sometimes you're shaking off the rust a little bit. But make no mistake, I think ASU's got some very strong defenders, and I certainly wouldn't expect goals to come easy for Arizona for the remainder of this game. So they've certainly had some great plays, but definitely wouldn't count on that to continue to have those opportunities so easily.
I would fully agree with you, Chris. And again, if you take a look at the score of 5-4 with still 6 minutes to play here in the first quarter, neither team can be able to keep up this pace for an entire game, because as we were kind of joking before, if you extrapolate this out, that would put the final score in the 30s, which would be incredibly rare.
But with that, play resumes. The ASU back into a settled attack here.
ASU is obviously looking for a better possession on this one again. They were talking about the quality of their shots, not quantity. So if the shot isn't there, they're going to continue to be able to work it around.
Well, one of the advantages they have here, Craig, is not having that shot clock that you have at the NCAA level. Really gives these teams time to set up and wait for the right play. Gardner with a shot, but Ventimiglia with a great stop.
Absolutely fantastic save there by the Arizona goalie.
Nice look. That one looked like it was just a little right. I think Ventimiglia got a stick on it.
Very, very possible. So far, even though giving up 5 goals, Ventimiglia has really kept Arizona in the game by making some fantastic saves.
Well, and here's Turpin again, back to Ventimiglia. Another great defensive stand here from Arizona as they get that caused turnover, knocking the ball down inside the 8 and fighting for the GB. And now cleared out. Arizona with some momentum here.
Landry McCord trying to get it right in front. Now Arizona has it on the far left side. Jordan Hendricks taking the ball out and wheeling it out front. Arizona State seems to have packed in their defense a bit. And a turnover takes place, and it's taken away by Arizona State.
Yeah, great pickup there by Blaine Ibarra on that ground ball.
She's outrunning everybody down the far side of the field.
Well, Ibarra's got speed, but it's also her reaction time. She sees a ball on the ground. She's going to beat most players to it most times.
Oh, the ball's right in front. And another wonderful save by Ventimiglia.
Yeah, she's just being a brick wall right now. I mean, that's 3 back-to-back stops for her fantastic performance in the cage so far today.
Yeah, I've counted at least half a dozen saves for her so far. But another turnover takes place as Arizona State once again tries to be able to take advantage of another fast break opportunity. Heading right down the middle.
And U of A obviously recognizes the threat that is Kelsey Penta. Every time she's coming in, you see immediate crashing in from the defense here and trying to close off that lane. She's got one of the fastest shots in the league, and if you give her that opportunity, she's going to take advantage. Ventimiglia now.
Another takeaway from Ventimiglia, absolutely. One of the things that definitely you can see in the Arizona defense is they're marking certain players. Is when specific players are getting the ball, you're seeing them get double teamed to be able to make her give up the ball. This is not happening for every player, just some of the players. So I'm sure that they've gone through their scouting report and saying, hey, make certain that these players, when they have it, do not beat us.
Well, missed pass there out of bounds, so there's going to be another opportunity for Arizona here. Emma Turpin brings this one back in for the Wildcats. Another knockdown takeaway, Gianna Rapp.
On defense, stop her!
Both sides, Craig, with some errant passes down inside the critical scoring area, and
with 7 seconds left in the first quarter, it looks like the quarter is going to end with the score: Arizona State 5, Arizona 4. So Arizona scored first, jumped out to a quick lead where ASU tied it and then ran out to a large lead. But Arizona, primarily due to some fantastic defense and great saves by their goalie, has narrowed the gap and got it down to 5-4 here at the end of the first quarter.
It's hard to believe that only 15 minutes have gone by. I mean, I feel like we've almost watched a full game already. Both these teams playing with high energy. It'll be interesting to see if they can keep this up for another 3 quarters, but the back and forth is really exciting. I mean, I think this is exactly what you want to see in a rivalry game like this. Both teams coming out, giving it everything they got, and so far it's been a very competitive match. Great to watch.
No, absolutely. Especially, like I said, especially some of the seniors. For an example, number 17, Blaine Ibarra, a graduate student who's playing her last game here today. Was one of the players that definitely is looking forward to making a difference. As well as like number 6, Bella Bozo, a fellow attacker. She's also playing her last game here on the field today. And number 25, Olivia Schumann. Those are 3 players of ASU specifically that their adrenaline is running really, really high as they play their last game. Now, and of course, for the University of Arizona, you've got Cindy Saxon, Jordan Hendricks, who's already scored a goal today, playing their last game here. Stephanie Lundy, Bridget Zimmerman, Mary New. So there are a number of seniors from both teams that you know the adrenaline's running high.
You have the roster.
Yes, ma'am.
Who is 50 on the Devils? I don't have her on my roster. I'm the cheerleader. Have a little faith. 13.
Sorry for the interruption there, folks. So, I think what's exciting for me, right, is a number of those names that you mentioned, Cindy Saxton, Buena Berra. A lot of these are local players that I've seen play for years since they were at the high school league and club league. Blaine, a former Desert Heat alum, where my daughter played as well. And, I've seen them play against each other in the alumni games. And it's definitely great to see these players continue on and be able to play, whether it's, at the NCAA level or at the club level throughout the game here. And most of these players, they come back and they give back right there. They're either coaching or officiating. A lot of them, the local high school and club teams here. So it's, definitely kind of comes full circle. And, I think for a lot of them, for ASU, again, they are going to for sure continue on here into the WWLL championships here coming up at GCU April 13th and 14th. And, Craig, you and I will be there to cover that as well. And the winner of that getting an automatic bid to the national tournament, and of course, which ASU has gotten a number of times in recent years. But the journey doesn't end there, right? I think these players will continue to go on, and whether they stay here, in the Phoenix Tucson area or going back to where they're from, I think that's part of the great thing about the sport is, lacrosse is a pretty small community still, and especially on the women's side of the game. And these players, they all go back, and I think almost every one of them will give back in some way.
Well, lacrosse is one of the fastest growing sports that you see in the country, and it is growing here in Arizona in leaps and bounds. You see this all the time. The number of club teams that are happening at the university levels are continuing to increase, not just in the number of players, but in the number of teams. You're seeing that at the D1 level. Is the number of I've seen a number of D1 teams this year. Xavier, as an example, that people will think is Xavier in many other sports is being around for many, many years, which they have, but it's only their second year in lacrosse. And this is happening across the board. And the more these players continue to play here and grow the sport locally, the more and more and more it will continue to grow.
With that second quarter underway, first draw up. Taryn Gleesh with the draw control.
Once again, Arizona State wins the draw.
What a snag by
right down the middle. Shot taken, shot scored. Again by number 3, Kelsey Penta. Definitely making her presence felt. As I believe that's her third goal today. Is that correct, Chris?
Indeed, that's a hat trick for Penta. And I almost think the catch here was more impressive than the goal. Just amazing. Such a dynamic player for Arizona State.
But she was running practically at full speed, was able to make that catch and take the shot very, very quickly. That takes a tremendous amount of skill. So with 19 seconds gone here in the second quarter, ASU opens up their lead to 6-4.
For me, Craig, I think Penta just epitomizes the idea that the talent here at the club level is just outstanding. Don't mistake these club players as just simple rec players and think that this is not going to be played at the same level as an NCAA game. A lot of these players very easily could have played at the NCAA level, but for different reasons, in a lot of cases, just for the majors that they choose to pursue, decide that's not the right path for them. But again, amazing athletes nonetheless.
Well, Chris and I both have the opportunity to be able to work with students at the major college level, not just from an athletic standpoint, but from a teaching viewpoint as well. And one of the things which we have definitely found, and you see this at the club level as a significant turnover happens for ASU. They take it right in front of the net, and
that right post is the goalie's best friend.
Absolutely. If you're familiar with either watching football or seeing a hockey game and you hear that doink, that is the best thing a goalie can ever hear.
Brianna Gardner is just playing lights out right now, getting these turnovers. Cause turnovers, to be more clear. Caroline Kelly keeping it in play.
Absolutely. Arizona just is having issues here in the second quarter. Just trying to be able to get possession of the ball is, so far, I would believe that ASU has had the ball for the entire quarter so far. And the only way you can be able to score is if you've got possession of the ball. So somehow the Arizona defense needs to kick back in, which was incredible for the first quarter. We'll see how well it can hold up.
Caroline Kelly with a beautiful shot and goal.
Absolutely. I believe that was Kelly Caroline from Harleysville, Pennsylvania. And that was her 7th goal of the season. It goes to show, Chris, for Arizona State, there is a pretty significant mixture, probably about 50-50 if you were to take a look at the overall roster of players within the greater Phoenix area, and then the other players are pretty well scattered from different places throughout the country, and not even a specific place in the country, as we say, is you've got Kelly Caroline from Harleysville, Pennsylvania. You've got number 20, Claire Musliff, and she's from Wilmette, Illinois. We've got players from San Diego, California, San Francisco, Eugene, Oregon. So the ASU teams is from, like I say, pretty much split, 50% from Greater Phoenix and 50% from different areas of the country.
Yeah, not surprising, right? I mean, I think Arizona State is up to something like 150,000 students now. It's insane. And
another great save by the U of A goalie as we speak. Is Ventimiglia is really helping keep her team in the game by making some substantial saves.
Yeah, I mean, it just goes to show goalies being the heart of these teams. They're communicating on the defense, they're directing things, and in this case, Ventimiglia is making a lot of great individual efforts here as well to make some stops. The goalie's kind of the last stand, right? You've got the defense first, but Ventimiglia really just having a great game.
And another goal by Arizona State. This one by number 20, Claire Mutzler. We were just talking about her. She's an attacker from Wilmette, Illinois. And she puts in her 14th goal of the season. And Arizona State, within the first 3 minutes, has scored 3 goals, opening up their lead to 8-4.
Yeah, I think it's Mutzler's second goal in the day. And to your point, it's kind of generally recognized that the best of lacrosse is East Coast lacrosse, and we're certainly growing it out here in the West. But having so many players from those regions coming over here and playing here at the college level, certainly helping elevate the game out here.
Because one of the things I think you'll continue to see is when you watch some of the lacrosse games that are happening in high school today, there are some incredible players that will be playing in the high school lacrosse championships over the next month. And should those players stay locally, that will just increase even more the lacrosse substance here in the Southwest. Be it if they choose to play for the club teams or if they play for a D1 team such as Arizona State.
No, for sure. And I think, just quick recognition there. Amelia Westlake with a great draw grab, and Kelsey Pinta gets another one.
That's her 4th goal today, and that opens up ASU to a 9-4 lead.
Yeah, and that one all started with Amelia Westlake at the draw, getting a great high grab.
University of Arizona has to watch it at this point because they have been down 3 goals. Now they are down 4. They have had the opportunity to come back, but it would seem as though some of the ladies on the attack end are starting to drop their head a little bit because they haven't seen the ball at all here in the second quarter, and that's the last thing you can do is start to drop your head and wonder, am I going to see the ball again, and how are we going to get another opportunity to score? Is all it takes is 1 goal in lacrosse, and that can stop the momentum and turn it very, very quickly, and we have both seen that on a regular basis.
Definitely. I mean, game of runs, right? So can certainly see another series. And we did see a flurry there from Arizona in the first quarter, putting 3 on the board quickly.
But once again, Arizona State wins the draw, which they've done a number of times.
Westlake again, just 2 back-to-back high grabs there, doing great on the circle for Arizona State.
And Arizona State's using those wins at the draw to kind of create a fast break opportunity, which has really been able to help them. When they don't get the fast break, then they do pull it out as they have now, and are looking to be able to take, again, not just the best shot, or not just any shot, but the best shot.
Wildcats doing a good job there to slow down Kelsey Penta, force her back outside the 12, make her make a couple passes, and ends up resulting in the turnover here as that last pass goes out of bounds.
Arizona really needs to be able to make sure they get it past midfield so they can be able to get a setup, which, again, they turned the ball over, so...
Yeah, not able to clear it out. But a 50-50 here in traffic. Brianna Gardner sinks it.
And as I was saying, a couple of the Arizona attackers just got their hands on their hips and are kind of wondering what in the world is going on, as they haven't seen the ball for the entire second quarter.
Well, I think as you were saying a moment ago there, Craig, Brianna Gardner, another local talent here from Desert Vista High School, and you're absolutely right. We've got a number of players coming out of the Phoenix area here. A couple of them actually committed to the ASU D1 team. First time we've had D1 commits out of the state going to the local school, and I think it's definitely exciting to see that level of talent continuing to increase and grow here. And I think some of these players, Brianna Gardner, Kelsey Penta, Buena Barra, certainly kind of leading the way and setting a great precedent here for these younger players to follow.
Absolutely. I know that I was able to cover the game last year, the high school championship game between Chandler and Higley, and I would just be incredibly surprised if several of those players did not move up to the D1 level as well as the club level as well. Because one of the things I was going to talk about as we have a timeout here on the field is it is a different level of commitment for an athlete to be able to play a D1 sport. Is we often say it's a full-time job being a D1 athlete as well as going to school full-time. So simply because one of these students have chosen to play club soccer, it very well could mean that they just want to be able to spend more time from an academic standpoint for a variety of different reasons. It really does not show the differential between the talent of the players in many, many ways. So when you come to one of these club lacrosse games, you greatly see the quality of play. Wouldn't you agree, Chris?
Yeah. I think I was touching on that as well earlier, and I think the players really have to figure out the right path for them, right? The unfortunate reality is professional lacrosse isn't really in the cards as a full-time career for most of these players at this point in the sport's growth, but I think being able to continue the journey into college is a great thing. Having the teammates, having the experience, to go through college and enjoy the sport and enjoy the teammates and enjoy the team travel and everything that comes with it, and just having that support structure around you, I think is what really matters. And you see a lot of these players, they become lifelong friends And I think that's what it's about. And you can find that really at any level. And for most of these players, it's about finding what is that best fit in terms of what level of competition are they looking to play at, but what are they looking to major in, and what are they looking to do with the rest of their lives, and all of that fits into it, right? And the types of schools you want to go to, if it's a big university or a small college, and so I think all these players have to find the right solution for them. And I think most of the coaches in the game know this, and they help them figure out those target schools and those stretch schools and those safe schools. And having kind of gone through that recruiting process with my own daughter, I understand it. I think it doesn't really say anything one way or the other. You just find the best fit, and that's where you go, and hopefully you have a great experience.
Absolutely. Well, back here at the draw, again with 10:28 left to play here in the second quarter, and Arizona State leading 10-4. And Arizona finally is able to get one of the balls off the draw and is able to go take it into the ASU end, takes a shot, and it's scored right down the middle by number 15, Bridget Zimmerman, a senior attacker, and getting her team-leading 13th goal of the season.
Looking at this shot again, threading a needle, wow. I mean, that was not even a millimeter off the post. One of the best placed shots we've seen all game.
Well, that was exactly what the doctor ordered for Arizona. Cutting the lead to 10-6, and again, that'll stop the bleeding, and you never know if that can start that run that we were just discussing for Arizona.
No, definitely. I think it was interesting. I think even the players are kind of waiting to see if that ball actually made it inside the cage there. It was so close, but what a great shot.
That was an incredible shot. I admit on that shot I was kind of waiting to hear that dearly beloved doink like I was telling you about before, and it didn't happen as it just made it inside the net.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for him to design a stick head, Craig, that lets you throw a curveball out of the stick.
Now that would be something, a lacrosse version of the soccer bender. Is that what you're trying to say, Chris?
Sometimes I'm convinced that's what we see already. Sometimes these balls don't look like they fly straight to me, but maybe it's the camera angle.
Well, they do have curveballs in baseball, so who knows? Maybe if you can turn your stick a particular way, you can make it do some interesting things. You watch, because there'll probably be some player sometime in the future will figure out how to be able to do that.
What a clear from
dangerous pass though when you're trying to be able to go that long.
There's
sure
the
enough,
price.
Off.
Here's Riley Wilson coming in with the pick there for ASU.
ASU now has it out front, over to the far side. And a violation was called against ASU.
I think that might have been a charge. Yeah, I think it was a charge call, Craig. At least that's what it looked like from the signal from the official. So it's going to be a turnover. Wildcats going to get possession off of that.
Way to go, Claire!
Claire Mutzliff with a great trail check. Arizona holding on to possession. Riley Wilson playing some great defense for Arizona State, one-on-one, going against Mary New.
Arizona State is kind of letting Arizona get pretty deep into their zone with the ball before they're cutting them off. I think that started to aggravate them, which is one of the reasons that they got a penalty.
So Jordan Hendricks now shooting against Alex LaBrosse.
And she scores. That was number 3, Jordan Hendricks. Which I believe is her second goal of the game. Is that correct, Chris?
That's correct.
run and have cut into that lead. And there's with 8:01 left to play here in the second quarter.
Yeah, and actually looks like a correction there. Not LaBrosse in the cage here. It's 44, which according to my roster here is the freshman Emma Russell out of Phoenix for ASU.
That is correct.
Caroline Kelly with the draw control for ASU.
Now again, I fully expect this, based on my conversation with the coach, is at some point in today's game, we're going to see Alex LaBrosse and Malik Lorette, both of which are seniors, and it's potentially their last game. And I know that she'd like to be able to get both those players time in goal.
Yeah, certainly last regular season game at least. And Ventimiglia with a great high-to-high save.
Arizona's got completely turned around the time of possession here for the last couple of minutes. And of course, just as I say that, they turn it over right in the middle of the field.
Right now, Craig, this game really being won or lost in these midfield battles.
Yep, absolutely, positively. And it's interesting as both coaches talked about their time of possession. And it's very interesting that the time of possession in today's game seems to be going in chunks. Teams will go from, I have it for 2 minutes, 3 minutes almost straight, to the other team having it for 2 minutes to 3 minutes straight.
Yeah, exactly. Naomi Rosen with a good pass there, and as a team loses it, she comes up to the rescue and gets the GB.
This would be an important possession for Arizona. If they can cut the lead even further, it'll really start putting some pressure on the Sun Devils.
Well, especially they haven't had as many shot attempts here in the second quarter as the first. Fuska looking for the feed. Two players hit the deck, but no whistle. Picked up by Hendricks.
It appeared as though in that play when both players hit the deck that the ball was kind of going right in between the two of them, so both were going after the ball. There really was no advantage gained by either of the two, so it was an accidental bump, and both players fell, but no way to be able to tell if there was an advantage made one way or the other. So I thought that was a good no call by the official.
Yeah, it was. And I think an interesting play you see there is Kelsey Pinto with the legal check against Gianna Ropp. But since Kelsey didn't touch the ball as it went out of bounds, that was out of bounds on U of A, so the ball got turned over to ASU.
Oh, almost a goal there. His ball was maybe just a foot high. So, Chris, if you would take a moment and explain that to our viewers too, is if the ball goes out of bounds and the ball was shot, it's whoever was closest to the ball. But if it was an errant pass, then it's a turnover and goes to the other team. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah. Whoever, if it's a pass, errant, then whoever last touched it, it's turned over to the other team. But if it's a shot, then both teams get to chase the ball. Sometimes the goalies will get out and do it as well, and whoever's closest to it will get possession awarded for their team.
One thing that I think is interesting, Chris, and you mentioned this earlier in the game, is you talked about the new rule of the green card. The ball just got by Ventimiglia. She almost had a fantastic save, but the ball just dribbled into the net. Another goal for the Sun Devils.
Bounced right past her. I think she had in the right positioning, just not quite able to make the stop there. But, you know, for the goalies, it's always on to the next play. Goalies have short memories, and, you know, she's been playing great today, so I don't expect this to phase her much.
Well, as a former goalie, one of the things that I always used to say, at least to myself and to my teammates, is all you guys had to screw up for the ball to get by me. So
That's certainly one way to look at it.
Oh, goodness. But they say that about many positions in many sports where you have to have a short memory because they're just going to come right back at you again. So that puts the Sun Devils up 11-6 with 3:14 left to play here in the second quarter. And once again, Arizona State wins the draw.
Arizona,
that is good. My goodness. All that means, Chris, is I should have joined you in that big cup of coffee you had this morning.
Sophie Churchill looking for that feed. Emma Russell with the stop inside the cage here for Sun Devils. And Russell with another great stop. Off that quick stick.
Sun Devils seem to be doing a much better job now in their half-court defense matching up. As they had that, when Arizona made the run there in the end of the first quarter, as the Arizona State defense was having issues marking the players, but it seems to have been taken care of. Turnover takes place, leading to a fast break opportunity for the Wildcats.
Yeah, nice pickup by Churchill coming in. Has the shot, saved by Russell.
A fantastic save.
Nice job, Mal! Let's go!
The Wildcats definitely getting their opportunities here, just haven't been able to find the back of the net. That shot high, bounces off of Fusco, but stays in bounds.
Yeah, but Emma Russell has really done a nice job, you know, the last couple of shots, making sure that keeping the ball out of the back of the net for the Sun Devils.
Now Peyton Moore with the ball, passes back.
Dangerous pass in front with several defenders. It just goes right through. Picked up by Arizona on the far side.
Yeah, definitely been some close calls here. Wildcats been able to keep this possession somehow. Into the goal circle as time expires.
Time is over here in the first half with the score. Arizona State Sun Devils 11, the Arizona Wildcats 6.
Thanks again for joining us here, folks, at South Mountain Sports. This is Chris Ross, and just as a reminder, we are a nonprofit based here in Phoenix, Arizona, and we do these live streams to raise funds to help players with financial need play this sport. So if you'd like to support us, please head on over to southmountainsports.com. You can also click the link there in our YouTube channel, and you can make a tax-deductible donation. Not too late, not April 15th yet, so feel free to get in there, make a donation. We'd certainly appreciate it. That will go into our scholarship fund to help get more players into this great sport, and we would certainly appreciate the support. With that, we'll take a short 10-minute halftime break here, and we will see you back on the other side. Welcome back to the second half, and what's become a bit of a fan tradition here down at U of A during halftime. We usually get some handstand competitions. Not quite as fierce this game as I've seen in the past, Craig.
Okay, well, let's just put it this way. It's better than I could ever do, period, regardless of the level of competition. So I would surrender within 10 seconds.
We seem to have graduated from handstands to something else. And we're back.
Plank, kind of double planking, I guess. Let's just say it takes a tremendous amount of strength and agility, neither of which I am under the conclusion that I don't know if I ever had it because I've probably forgotten if I did.
I'd like to think we both had that at some point.
Anyway, I'd like to be able to start the second half here as we're getting ready for the draw. As the score here at halftime is Arizona State 11, Arizona 6.
Kelsey Penta coming in, almost had an amazing draw grab. Step by, and she's got the one-handed snag. You know, I know in the last game, Craig, Kelsey was kind of coming off a bit of a quad injury there, and she certainly seems to be back in full form today.
If she's not, considering that she's got 4 goals, I don't want to know what it would be like if she's not at full form. This will be an important stop for Arizona, though, Chris. One of the things that we talked about at halftime is Arizona, primarily because of depth, has had their struggles in the second half, and they're definitely still in this game. But one of the things they just cannot afford to do, as a great save was made by the Arizona goalie, was still picked up by the Sun Devils, is they just can't afford to let a couple of goals get by, fall further behind. Just like that. This goal is put in by number 2, Caroline Kelly.
And that's going to be a hat trick for Kelly on the day as well.
Absolutely. So between Caroline Kelly and Kelsey Penta, they have half of the Sun Devil goals, and the Sun Devils take a 12-6 lead with just under 1 minute gone here in the first half. And again, that's, as I was about to say, Chris, that's the one thing the Wildcats really didn't want to occur, is you can't let the thoughts of, oh my goodness, our second half woes are starting to creep in, because you'll start to see your heads drop and things like that, and that's one thing you can't afford to let happen. So it'll be imperative for the Wildcats here to be able to take possession, get a couple of goals, and at least be able to stay within an arm's length distance. So the first 5 minutes here in the third quarter are incredibly important.
Right in front.
Right in front. And another goal, number 4.
I think that was 2 again, actually.
Absolutely, it's number. Well, again, the fourth goal by Caroline Kelly.
Apologies there, Craig. But absolutely a great play. I'm not quite sure how the Wildcats left her wide open, but definitely a miss there. An easy goal for Kelly.
This is exactly what the Sun Devils would be hoping for, is to come out and really start to put some separation quickly at the beginning of the second half. And now at a 7-goal lead at 13-6, you start to worry about, if this starts to get away from them, will there start to be a running clock? Because, Chris, why don't you explain that to our viewers of what happens at a 10-goal lead?
Yeah, I mean, we'll be at the, as you said, Craig, a running clock if we get to 10. And then there will be no additional clock stoppages other than timeouts or yellow cards at that point. So game tends to go pretty quick. Riley Wilson taking advantage, using her height, gets the high grab off the draw for ASU. And now on the fast break, time Wildcats able to get in position and slow it down.
Yeah, the Wildcats at least stopped that one fast break opportunity. But Small still got right in front.
Yeah, that one assisted from Kelsey Pinta over to Claire Mertzlift, who gets her hat trick.
Nice teamwork, ladies.
And not even 2 minutes into the third quarter, the Sun Devils have scored 3 times, opening up a substantial 14-6 lead.
And I think obviously from ASU standpoint, right, you know, a month off is a long time for any team to not have a game. You know, I'm sure they were practicing. They had spring break in there as well. But with these championships coming up, and you know, usually some of the top teams to look for in Division I of the WWLL South would be ASU, SDSU, UCLA. Those 3 teams always in the mix. And I think, you know, if nothing else, ASU really needed this game just to get ready so that they're coming in form and they've got the rust shaken off, so to speak, before this championship weekend coming up.
Arizona won the draw, which they desperately needed, and I did notice, as I fully expected, a change was made at goalie for the Sun Devils here at halftime. Is number 9, Alex Labrosse from Amherst, Massachusetts, playing in her last game. The coach said she definitely wanted to be able to see some time today, so that change was being made at halftime.
Yeah, and Labrosse has really been the anchor goalie here for this AS team for years. A good battle here for the ground ball. You see the players kicking it. Nice one-handed cradle there from Abera as she pulls it out, but intercepted, taken right back, right into the stick of Labrosse. Now,
Sun Devils have tried 2 ill-advised long passes, turning the ball right back over to
Labrosse with a great high-to-high read. Fusco stuffed on the doorstep.
As the Sun Devils look for that fast break opportunity.
Good ball movement here from Sun Devils in this transition.
That's where taking it right down the middle, all by herself, and puts it in the back of the net. So is that a hat trick for Claire as well?
I've got that as number 4 for her.
Number 4.
So now she's progressing towards sock trick territory. 6 goals being the sock trick.
Well, that opens it up for the Sun Devils. Is with 3.5 minutes gone here in the second half, the Sun Devils take a 15-6 lead.
Yeah, and this has definitely been the Achilles heel for the Wildcats this season. They've been in some great games, had a huge lead on GCU earlier this season, and GCU able to claw back into that one and get the win.
And it was similar in this regard. Is Arizona had a substantial lead, and then GCU just had a tremendous takeoff at the beginning of the second half.
She was so good. How much she has improved since her Twilight days are really
One thing, though, Chris, I'd like to comment on is, especially for a rivalry game, this has been a really clean game. There's not been one yellow card. There's also, as you talked about earlier, the new green card rule. We've not even seen one green card yet. I think that's incredible for a game like this.
I don't think that point can be overstated, Craig. You're absolutely right. This has been a very clean game. Certainly physical, officials, I think, allowing a good amount of physicality here in the game, but you're not getting the nonstop whistles that tend to drive fans crazy, as Ventimiglia gets this one cleared up. But you're absolutely right. I think officials letting them play here, and These teams, coming out and I think giving the game the intensity that
Sun Devils put another one in the net.
And just as we were talking about that sock trick, she's one way.
I believe that was Mutzluff again. Was that correct?
It was, yeah. So she's one shy of a sock trick here with 5 on the day, and that puts us to a running clock, Craig.
And it's that running clock that'll just make it even more difficult for the Arizona Wildcats to try to be able to catch up at this point. The one thing this potentially really can do, which again the Sun Devil coaches talked about, is they really wanted to be able to get as much playing time for their seniors as they possibly could today. And there are a number of seniors that haven't really been in the game that much so far, but I know they want to be able to have more time allotted to them. So hopefully this will be able to help them empty their bench a bit.
Yeah, I think they've certainly got the lead to have the comfort to do that at this point. But we were starting to talk about Lacrosse earlier being the anchor of this team, and she's got 121 saves on the season coming into the game, which puts her at 54% save percentage, which is certainly outstanding. Looks like Naomi Rosen heading off field here on the green card.
I believe it was a yellow card.
Card. So, exactly to your point, Craig. First yellow card today. Be 2-minute player up advantage here for the Sun Devils.
I'm not exactly sure what happened there. I know a bunch of sticks collided all at the same time, and then I saw the whistle blew, or heard the whistle blow.
Yeah, it's probably considered an illegal cross check or check to the head here.
That very well could be, because there are a number of high sticks, so yes, it could very well be a check to the head.
And those, even if they're inadvertent, mandatory yellow card from the officials. And off the crease roll. So it looked like that was Allison Davis getting her first of the day, number 14 for ASU.
I believe you're correct. And if that's the case, that would be Allison's first goal of the year. Is that correct, Chris?
Let's take a look here. That is correct. Yeah, I've got 1 assist for her, so first goal of the year indeed. So congratulations there to Davis on getting her first of the season.
And it looks like we have a timeout by Arizona. With the score, Sun Devils 17, Arizona 6, with 8:11 left to play in the third quarter.
Yeah, and I think you're right, Craig. That just goes to show, ASU at this point, putting in some of these players that maybe don't get as much play time, giving them an opportunity to get some touches here in this second half.
There were several players, one of which was number 17, Blaine Abera, a graduate student from Phoenix, that the coach specifically mentioned that really wanted to be able to get some more playing time today. She was one of the players they definitely had mentioned. Also had mentioned number 6, Bella Boza, an attacker from Phoenix, that she wanted to be able to get some time, and of course she's been in the game. But also one that we haven't talked too much about is number 25, Olivia Schumann. She's from San Francisco, California, plays midfield, and these were some seniors that the coach had specifically mentioned that wanted to be able to get some more playing time in the game today.
Yeah, and it's an interesting mix there, right? I mean, a number of the players you listed off there are already starters on this team, so certainly have had no shortage of playing time this season or past seasons. I think a couple of the other players, certainly great to see them get in, get some action here today.
And for the Wildcats, this is not a time to be able to give up. Because remember, one of the things their coach talked about over and over again is continuing to move the program forward. And this is an opportunity to be able to do that, is even though you're down at this level, you still want to be able to play hard because you want to be able to tighten the score up. You tell your players, look, pretend the score is 0-0. Let's win the game from here on out, because that then carries forward to next season. Not just your players, but recruiting, everything else. Is people just, I think, sometimes don't understand, if they haven't played sports that often, how important the last quarter, the last half of you played in your last game of the season, how that stays with you for the 6, 7, 8 months in between the seasons. And it just really continues to push you forward to be able to drive to be better and better and better.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree with you more. I think the importance of the recruiting, and I think to give this U of A team credit, right? They put up, I think, one of the stronger performances I've seen in recent years this season. It's not necessarily always reflected in that win-loss record, but you can see the improvement on this team. You can see the grittiness. They've been playing hard. They've been making some great plays, and they've definitely been putting up much stronger efforts. ASU has been, leading and winning this division for several years. So U of A certainly has been, I think, advancing and progressing through the division. And a lot of it just comes down to the depth on the roster here. A couple years we're actually playing without having a full-time head coach and even having to self-coach themselves. So team certainly had its struggles, and they get the free position shot on goal here.
Absolutely. And that's exactly what Arizona needed at this point. And as you say that, because one of the things, Chris, is two of their leading scorers in Mia Fusco and Landry McClure are both juniors. They're both coming back next year. They do not have a senior loaded squad. So the more experience they can be able to give to some of their non-senior players and some of their underclassmen, as well as whoever is coming in next year, is going to be vital to the Arizona program. They've already made some significant strides just within the last couple of years, and with the amount of effort that the team is putting in, that the university is putting behind the team, the quality of their coaching, it'll just continue to be able to increase for the University of Arizona.
Well, definitely, having Liz Palmer return to this program as head coach and her commitment to growing the team, having been affiliated with the program in the past, is a huge boost for this program. And I think certainly if they can bring in some new talent next year and continue to increase the depth of the roster, certainly see nothing but positive growth here for this team going forward.
Especially if Arizona is going to be able to attract that growing local talent that we're continuing to be able to see throughout all of Arizona. If they're able to just grab some of that and be able to get them to play club lacrosse here at the University of Arizona, that'll just continue to be able to help this program in leaps and bounds. And again, one of the things that Arizona wants to be able to do is join Arizona State, so they have both club lacrosse and D1 lacrosse at the same time.
Nice.
Another fantastic save by the Arizona Jolie. Ventimiglia does not matter that ASU has 16 goals. Ventimiglia has really played a very strong game today. Because the score easily could be 20 or more without her actions in the goal.
100%. This pass, though, sailing out of bounds. Going to be brought back in by Ibarra.
ASU again looking to create another fast break opportunity.
I believe that's actually a warding call, Craig. You do not see that call very often. I always kind of laugh. The officials kind of look like they're making a chicken wing dance, but that's not a common call you see here. But that does result in a turnover and an opportunity here for Arizona.
Now, what would turn that into a yellow card, Chris, is if they made contact when they were swinging the elbow?
Even if they make contact, it's kind of the official's discretion on how dangerous that contact was, if it rises to the level of a misconduct call or dangerous play call. But, job one of these refs is actually not fairness of the game, but safety first, right? So if they think it's rising to that level, that it's creating a safety concern, they could absolutely yellow card it. Another interesting difference between the high school and college level that you see here, Craig, is when you have those fouls at the high school level, the players have to go behind 4 meters. At the college level, they only have to go away, and it's only 2 meters, so they don't have to go away as far, and they don't have to go behind. They just have to go away.
Well, there was just a fantastic defensive stop there by Arizona State. It looked like Arizona had the ball, was getting it right in front of the ASU goal. And the Sun Devils made a fantastic defensive play to be able to stop that. But Chris, you were talking about player safety. And one of the things I actually enjoy about the women's lacrosse game, and player safety is a huge part of this, is there's a certain ebb and flow to women's lacrosse because the rules allow them a lot more freedom as players. Things like speed, agility, ball control is far more important because the physicality is not a part of the women's game as it would be for the constant checking and whatnot that you see in the men's game. Would you agree?
Yeah, I would. I mean, just quick credit there to Ventimiglia again, making a great stop and clear and off that goal circle violation, but ASU hit the ball back. But yeah, no, absolutely, Craig. I mean, the women's game, this debate tends to flare up from time to time. I actually saw it on social media again this week. But the women's game, certainly considered a more pure form of the sport of lacrosse. It's a game of finesse. It's a game of skill. It's not necessarily about the physical driving through. It's a very different sport from the men's game. And aside from the fact that they both use lacrosse sticks, it may as well be as different as soccer and hockey at this point. And there's always this debate about whether the women should bring helmets into the game. And of course, I tend to side with the no helmets. I really like the purity of the game, the fact that you really have to earn it. And there's just a lot of elements to the women's game to admire. Things like the free position shot. And I just think it's a different game. It's a different dynamic. And when it's played right, the best way to describe it, I think, is that it's a beautiful sport. And watching it played at a high level, there's not much that can compete with that.
I think it's very similar, and many people are starting to realize this. As an example, within the NCAA women's finals, is the last couple of games featuring Caitlin Clark of Iowa as an example, shows that people are interested in the beauty of the game. Is there a substantial difference between the men's basketball and women's basketball games? Absolutely, positively. But there's a substantial beauty and pureness to the women's game where they're not just pounding into each other or playing above the rim. It takes a tremendous amount of skill. And I think that's what people are seeing in women's lacrosse as well.
Yeah, and I would definitely say, to anybody who's never tried to actually pick up a women's stick and just cradle a ball and do some passing and catching, if you want to really appreciate what you've seen here today, give it a try. It is not easy. It takes these women years to get to the level that you're seeing here today. And, just to be able to cradle, to be able to switch and go left and right, to be able to do this while thinking about your game positioning, your lax IQ, setting picks, doing all of that off-ball movement. It is definitely something that takes years and years to master. And, I don't necessarily...
Oh, tremendous hustle there by Arizona State.
Yeah,
that was number 17, Blaine Abera, and she just dove for the ball, just wasn't able to corral it, but you got to appreciate that level of effort.
Yeah, great commitment here by the players here, and I think it just speaks to what I was saying. The athleticism here and the skill, it again is just not something that you can pick up and get to this level in a year or two. It takes a long time, and most of these women that you see here today have probably been playing since they were 6, 7, 8 years old.
as we're now under a minute to play here in the third quarter. With the score, Arizona State 16, Arizona 7. As Arizona State trying to be able to make one final run here at the end of the third quarter. A nice defensive play by Arizona, picked up by their goalie. For some reason, the clock is stopping every couple of seconds. So having a couple of clock issues, but we are down now to 13 seconds. And another fantastic save by Ventimiglia.
Yeah, I mean, there it is again. She's making ASU earn every goal, even still, and you have to admire the commitment to the craft there. You know, if you're going to get a goal on her, you're going to have to fake. You're going to have to make her move. She's not going to let it be easy and a gimme.
You know what? With the score at the end of the third quarter, Arizona State 16, Arizona 7, you actually saw the enthusiasm of the Arizona team walking off the field primarily because of their goalie. Is when you see one player really making some spectacular plays, keeping your team in the game, that keeps your team enthused. Again, it's not necessarily always the score, it's how well are you playing, what are you doing to try to be able to move your team and your program forward. Is you can't just think, look how far we are behind. Is all you can say is we can play able to play better this possession than this minute. You don't worry about, oh my gosh, how many goals are we going to be able to take to come back? And that's you just can't think about that as a player.
No, I mean, I think that mentality from the goalie, right, really extends to the entire team, right? It's like, you gotta forget the past quickly and move on to the next play. And I think just an interesting observation here too, Craig, is we had 17 on the board here on our scoreboard for ASU, but I'm noticing we had to do a scoreboard correction here down to 16, so that's why we're at the stop clock. And we'll have to look back. We might have missed it. I think there might have been a goal possibly disallowed by ASU, but we did end up off the scoreboard by 1 here. So as a result here, we're not at that running clock at the moment. It's a 16-7 game, whereas we had the score at 17-7. So we'll have to look back and see where we got disconnected there. But sometimes, one of the common things that happens here is those post-goal stick checks, and it could have been the culprit here. So after every goal, the officials go and check the depths of the sticks, and we were just talking about that a moment ago, how hard it is to cradle with these women's sticks being so much more shallow in the pocket than the men's sticks, and they do get checked after each goal here at the college level, and if the pockets are too deep, then the goal gets disallowed, and they do have to go and actually correct that before they're allowed to play with that stick again. So might have been something like that or something else, but nevertheless, looks like we're at a 16-7 game here going into the fourth.
This game is still not completely over. It might, if some people might think that, but I've seen bigger comebacks than this happen in the past. And if you can get 3 goals within the first couple of minutes, just to start to put some doubt into the other team, then all of a sudden, because you very well can get a run of goals, and again, if they can get, say, 3 goals within the first 5 minutes, that very well could put some doubt into the other team and present some opportunities, which would really be something I know that Arizona would love to be able to do, because it would turn around kind of their second half woes, which, let's be realistic, they did do the second half of that third quarter. Is the first half of that third quarter is ASU just went on a tremendous run, but then Arizona started to hold their own, and for the last 5 minutes, the game was pretty well even in terms of time of possession, score, and everything else.
Yeah, it was, and it always comes down to the draw circle first, right? I mean, you got to win at the draw. Those midfield lineups matter so much, and I think we're, especially here in the third quarter, that's where ASU's really started to get help pull away on this game, right? Is the dominance here at the draw. So I think for Wildcats to have a shot here, they're going to have to start with that draw and get some possessions here, and then figure out how to execute on that attack side.
Would you expect the Sun Devils to go more into a delay game with there not being a shot clock?
I mean, eventually, sure. And if nothing else, if you're at a running clock, sometimes teams will just do that as a show of sportsmanship and not looking to run up the score. But we're not at that running clock, so there's not that opportunity. But with 15 on the clock, I typically don't see teams start getting into that mode until there's down to the last 4 to maybe 2 minutes left in the game. And certainly, a lot of lacrosse to play here still yet this morning.
Absolutely. As we start the draw for the fourth quarter, once again, won by Arizona State. And as you were just saying, Chris, I think that's where the primary advantage has come from is Arizona State has won a substantial percentage of these draws today. And Chris, you were talking earlier about ball control, and I absolutely agree with you. Is just have a fan go out with a women's lacrosse stick, put a ball in the ground, and see how well you can just scoop it off the ground. I know with me, it takes me several tries to be able to get that done and done correctly.
Yeah, I'll tell you, it's not the same as just picking up a mitt and passing the ball. That's for sure.
The skill that's involved at this level is tremendous, and yet another save by Ventimiglia, and the ball is taken by Arizona. I have completely lost track of how many saves she's made today. But there easily could have been another 10 goals. As Arizona comes down at a fast break.
They have the hat trick and saw trick sayings for the goals. I think we need to come up with something for the goalies here.
Oh, I would agree with that.
Feel free to throw out some suggestions there, Craig. I'm going with stuffed turkey.
Oh, you might have to tell him that one. I don't know if you'd want to be able to tell a goalie that you're a turkey. But we were talking about classic rock music earlier today. How about a brick on the wall? Add another brick to the wall.
Yeah, that's not bad. Yeah, we can go. That might be better than my option.
Well, anyway, Arizona has the ball. Doing great at time of possession. And a yellow card was just issued.
Yeah, Kelsey Pinto getting a touch of the head against Steph Lundeen.
I believe it was for a stick check to the back was the call, I do believe. So let's see if Arizona can take advantage of having a player up. And they do!
What a great quick stick goal. Off number 7, Peyton Moore getting her first of the day.
Absolutely. Her 8th goal of the year. And as we said, there's 11:52 left to play, so we're just under 3 minutes gone. The score is now 16-8. So if Arizona can be able to get another couple of quick goals, you don't know what may happen here.
Well, interesting looking at the score sheet here for Arizona, too, to give them some credit. They've really been moving the ball around well. These 8 goals have come off the sticks of 7 different players. So not one player having to carry the load here, but really moving it around and been a shared team effort so far.
And again, you have to give this Arizona team some credit because they have had some second half woes this year. This second half started out about as bad as it possibly could have, and yet for really about the past 8 minutes, they've done more than hold their own. They actually have outscored Arizona State.
Well, and getting another draw win, but good takeaway from the Sun Devils. Yeah, I think
Sun Devils again trying to be able to create that fast break opportunity.
Well, I think they were passing and just took the ball right out of the stick. Impressive takeaway here for the Sun Devils.
That was a good 50-50 pickup there by the Sun Devils. They had a good cut in front of the net. The pass just didn't go through, but then they won that 50-50 ball.
Yeah, they were looking to just bat that into Ventimiglia, and Amelia Westlake was the one coming in to make the play there. Number 11. And here's Westlake with a shot. That one's deflected out the back end. So what's happening is the officials are stopping the game for safety there. There was an individual walking behind the cage, and officials just don't want to risk a shot going off while somebody's back there without protection. So good call by the officials here, again, just making sure that everyone is safe, and now the game's back underway.
Oh, nice play by the Sun Devils right in front. Looks like number 33, Taryn Gleish.
Yeah, Taryn Gleish coming in here. Switches left and gets that nice angle there.
That's her third goal of the year. And of course, it says on the score sheet that she plays defense. How often does that historically happen, Chris, where someone who plays defense has 3 goals on the season?
Yeah, sometimes I take these positions on the roster with a grain of salt. I mean, I think I see this at every level, high school, college, club, even NCAA, but just because that's marked on the roster that way, like, you know, as I was mentioning earlier, most of these players, they came up and they can just play ball. They can play any side of the field. You can put them at midfield, attack, defense. Goalie's probably the only position that's really specialized, and if you haven't played goalie, but even there, I've seen goalies get hurt, and I've seen field players throw on pads and get in the cage, and do the best they can. But at the end of the day, I think most of these players are just lacrosse players, and they can make plays on any side of the field.
You know, I actually like that a great deal, because one of the things that sometimes you see in other sports is players get pigeonholed. Basketball is a fantastic example of that. As if you have a basketball player who's tall, as another goal gets made by the Sun Devils. That looks like it was number 12, Riley Wilson.
Riley Wilson, yeah, with a great low-handed shovel shot here.
That's her 4th goal of the season. And that starts the running clock again as it puts Arizona State up 18-8. So Arizona State stopped a little bit of that bleeding. And
Wilson's just another player, like I was mentioning earlier, that's done a great job giving back here to the younger players in this league. Was actually the head coach for the Chandler Huskies local high school team here. Actually having a great season themselves, undefeated at 7-0, making that run for the state championship. You can always follow that on our other channel, South Mountain Lacrosse, if you're interested in the high school game here in Phoenix. But Wilson also has coached the club level here, local team Vortex Elite. So really just a great player, working on her master's, I believe. But here and just coaching players, but going out and still doing it herself on the field. And I think that's got to be one of the things that really resonates with the players, is when your coach can get out there and can do it better than you kind of have to respect him and listen, right?
Well, the Wildcats still doing what they can. They are not giving up. Again, I give them a tremendous amount of respect as they just want to be able to make their mark and continue to move the program forward. Oh my gosh! Even though that was a tremendous shot by Landry McClure. It won't count because the whistle had blown, but there was a catch and shoot within half a second.
Yeah, it was definitely quick. But, I think the play hadn't been underway. You have to give this player a certain amount of space as they bring it back in off those balls out of bounds. Now London going to make the effort.
No, it's like the half-court shot that somebody makes in basketball that doesn't count. You say, yeah, but it was still a great shot.
Absolutely. A lot of patience here from Fusco, looking for the right opportunity to feed inside.
No, I do like your comment earlier, though, Chris, about the players playing so many different positions. As we were saying, that doesn't happen in all sports. And sometimes players get pigeonholed for particular positions, never have the opportunity to learn more. And as things change, is maybe they become bigger, or they become faster, or things like that, or their team needs someone to play different positions, that they're able to do it. There's another goal by Arizona. I believe that's number 20, Gia Rapp.
Yeah, Gia Rapp coming in, getting her first of the day. And Arizona continuing this trend here. Now 9 goals, 8 different goal scorers. So just a great job, everybody getting in, making an impact here late in this game. And that stops the clock again.
Well, once again, if you keep in mind, Arizona State, quickly scored 4 goals in the second half. Since that point, it's Arizona 5, Sun Devils 4, and so you have to be impressed with that level of effort.
Yeah, it's a fair point. I mean, ASU's definitely got that lead that was built out in that second and third quarter, but this fourth quarter has been a pretty competitive matchup so far.
And one thing, if you do look around the field, the Sun Devils still have the vast majority of the regular players out there. So this is simply not being done against the Sun Devil bench.
So Gardner with the feed to Pinta, but
that's another fabulous save by Ventimiglia.
Let me tell you, one-on-one against Kelsey Pinta, it's not something I would want to sign up for, but Ventimiglia with the great stop there off a laser of a shot from Kelsey Pinta.
One of the things you're actually continuing to see for Arizona is a lot of off-the-ball movement. And with only 5 minutes left to go, that's something that you need to be impressed. That just shows they're not getting tired, they're showing effort and so on. It is very easy just to kind of start to stand around when you're playing off the ball. It is much easier getting goals if you continue to maintain constant movement, because you will lose contact with the defense, and that's the easiest way to get a shot.
Yeah, and just to clarify, there was a goal circle violation there. High to low shot saved by LaBrosse. That went off the stick of Jordan Hendricks. And Hendricks with a nice pass upfield. Over to Claire Mutzlift. fans, be sure to check out that WWLL website, WWLL.com. Look for the brackets to be posted here this week as these games wrap up. We'll have 8 Division I, 8 Division II teams coming up to Phoenix, Arizona at Grand Canyon University here next weekend for those WWLL championship games. We'll be bringing you several of those games live here on South Mountain Sports, and as soon as we get that schedule confirmed for the live streams, we'll get that posted up on our YouTube channel as well. So if you're not able to make the trip, we'll be streaming as many of those games as we can. And if you are planning to make the trip, definitely bring sunscreen, water, and some shade of some sort, an umbrella. It's going to be warm. It's going to be in the 90s, and there's not a lot of shade on that GCU campus, unfortunately. Great save again from Ventimiglia.
Another brick in the wall.
I think it's going to catch on, Craig. Let's keep it going.
Chris, you do bring up an interesting point. Yeah, it is kind of a point of discussion. The Sun Devils are wearing black today. Do you think it would be a good idea, or do the teams get an opportunity to choose which colors? Because when it's 90, 95 degrees, wearing those darker colors, as you were saying, bringing water and so forth, little things like that can make a difference.
And I think there's the sock trick for Claire Mertzlift.
Exactly. That starts the clock running again with 2.5 minutes left to play as the Sun Devils go up 19-9.
Yeah, and to your point there, Craig, unfortunately the teams won't get a say in that. The home team in lacrosse wears white, and the away team wears the darker color, whatever that is. And in these games at the championship format, whoever is the higher ranked team, based on seeding, will be the team in white for each game. So I suppose that'll be one advantage to being the higher ranked team, is being able to wear the cooler colors here in the Arizona sun.
As I know, having lived here for over 30 years, it does make a difference.
And Pinta looking for the fast break.
And she gets it again.
And she tiptoes that goal line.
As Kelsey Pinto puts up yet another goal on her list and the list for the Sun Devils, and it puts it up to a 20-9 Sun Devil lead as we close in on 1 minute to play in the ballgame.
I believe that's 5 on the day for Pinta as well. So great performance for her. And again, great to see her back to full health here heading into these championship games.
Well, 50 seconds left to play. Let's see what happens here at the end as the Sun Devils start yet another fast break.
So officials asking for that clock to stop. Now it looks like it's still running. Might be a little miscommunication there. But Ventimiglia coming up with one more big save in this game.
Way to go, Breeze!
This battle for the ground ball going to be picked up by ASU.
10 seconds left to play.
Caroline Kelly.
Ventimiglia closes it off as you'd fully expect, making one more save.
Yeah,
as that closes out the ball game with the final score, Sun Devils 20, Wildcats 9.
Yeah, fitting inning there. Great show here from this Arizona team against ASU, who of course came in favored, but a great performance, and especially shout out to Ava Ventimiglia there in the cage, keeping her team in this one. But really, Kelsey Pinta and Claire Mertzliff, just too much to handle here for Arizona today. 6 for Mertzliff, 5 for Pinta, and also 4 goals for Caroline Kelly. So just between those three and the high performance here at the draw, great ride from ASU, just all around great performance as ASU heads into the championship game here next weekend.
I would tend to think that both coaches would be happy with their team's performance because both teams actually did fulfill what their coaches were asking them to do. Yes, Arizona did lose the game, but that was not really you could tell, that was not the primary focus of the Arizona team's coach before the game. She wanted her players to perform well, to not give up, and to be able to face adversity. And I think the Arizona team did that. I also think the Arizona State team, they wanted to be able to work more on their one-on-one defense. They wanted to be faster on the attack, win some of the 50-50 balls, but have better ball control if they didn't get the fast break. And I would tend to think that they accomplished that as well.
Yeah, I think both teams, to your point, showed up here, played with great sportsmanship, as you mentioned earlier. Just the fact that we had just a couple of yellow cards all game and very few green cards says a lot, right? I think these teams played each other hard, but in a respectful way, and it was really just a lot of fun to watch, honestly. Not every lacrosse game is great to watch, if we're being honest, but this one, I think was a great game. And really saw some high-level play from both sides here. So, I think, as we were saying earlier, really looking forward to seeing this University of Arizona team continue to develop and grow next season, and really looking forward to ASU coming in and representing, the state of Arizona here in these WWLL championships, as well as GCU, of course, and all the other great WWLL teams that are going to be coming to town here next weekend that we'll be bringing, and really just elevating the kind of West Coast lacrosse overall, as those teams play for those bids to get into that national championship tournament, which I believe is actually in Wichita, Kansas this year. Virginia Beach last year, but I think I saw that it's in Wichita this year. So the winner for Division I and Division II next weekend will get automatic bids, while the remaining teams will be able to compete for those at-large bids, which are based on a voting process. So again, it's not always about record. I think we saw last year as an example, Dominican beat ASU in that WWLL championship final game, but ASU still got a bid to that national. So, it can really come down to how these teams perform, and it's not entirely based on win and loss records. So, should be exciting. Definitely hope the fans will tune in for that. Craig, you and I will be there to cover hopefully the majority of those games next weekend.
Absolutely, I'm looking forward to it, Chris. I think the Sun Devils, they got some of the rust out today. Is they haven't played in about a month. So that's obviously a difficult issue to be able to overcome, and they did against their arch rivals in the University of Arizona. They've proven that they're a team to be reckoned with in this tournament, and it's really going to be interesting to see how they can proceed forward and be able to overcome what was a disappointing loss for them in the tournament last year, and see how they can be able to perform this year. And it'll be a pleasure to be able to work with you in the upcoming tournament.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks again for tuning in today, folks. That'll conclude our broadcast for today here from Tucson with South Mountain Sports. And be sure again to tune in for us next weekend as we bring you those WWLL championship games live right here at South Mountain Sports. And one last time, again, if you would like to support us, please head on over to southmountainsports.com, where you can make that tax-deductible donation and help support our scholarship fund for students with financial need to be able to play this great sport. Thank you again. This is Chris Ross.
I'm Craig Stevens. Feel free and let us know any feedback that you have regarding this game. And yes, please donate to South Mountain Sports, and we're looking forward to seeing you at the playoffs next week.